Hello, hello, hello. It's Helen Lingard here, aka Be Deliciously Abundant, and I'm back. I'm back. I've had a rather long break. I haven't interviewed anybody. However, that's to change. Now, you may remember I did a wonderful interview a few months back with one of my absolute heroes, one of my favorite men in the whole world, and that's Rui. And I'm not going to try and say his full name. I got it last time, but I won't. Suffice to say, he's from Portugal and he's an amazing man. And when I interviewed him because he's a giver. He's a huge giver. Him and his family and his wife and his community, they're givers. And I'm all about love attraction and giving. And I knew that somebody who's such a big giver had to have a great love attraction story. What I hadn't realized was the scale of Ruby's story. And when he was telling me it, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I should have had his wife here, Melissa, too, because she is such a huge part. So today, she said yes to me. I'm over the moon to have Melissa here. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Helen. It's a pleasure to be here. A real honor, a real honor.
Oh, thank you. I'm so delighted to have you here because, like I say, and the part you played in this, and if you haven't seen the interview, do go back. I will post it, but it's back on my page, which you're not to go to now. You're to watch this one, but it's something like it's easy to attract to cast as is a button. And as I say, I'm going to get Melissa now to expand on her part of the story. But suffice to say, well, no, I'll let Melissa share the story of manifesting your amazing house against all the odds. And Melissa was there saying with absolute faith it's going to happen. So take it away, Melissa. Please share your story.
Okay,
and
Helen.
Tell us a bit about you too, please.
Well, Hui and I have been married for 28 years now, I think it is. And we've known each other for a very, very long time, since we were children, actually. And yes, he was my childhood and only love. And he was actually going to be a priest. So that's a whole other story. We won't get into that. It's a very long story, very convoluted and very thorn-birdy. So we don't want to go into that right now. But we have 4 beautiful girls, and they all live with us here in our home that we manifested. And we're not a very typical family in any sense of the word, which we enjoy. We enjoy that. We love hanging out together. We're best friends, basically. So we spend a lot of very quality time together. We all have pretty much the same ideals. So it's a party at my house most of the time, I would have to say. Yeah. So basically, if I had to describe myself, I would say that I'm first and foremost, I'm a mother. And no matter how old your children get, you're always a mother. So I started off with 4 girls, but now I have some boys as well. I have some boys. I didn't have to carry them. Now they just sort of added on. So I have some boys. The family's quite large, but we have a wonderful time together. So first and foremost, I'm a mother, but I did teach for a while, and but I am a registered reflexologist, and I've been a reflexologist for many, many years now. And we've always been into all the alternative medicines and anything that's alternative. You know, we're sort of into, but we've always been that way. So we were always the weird family, who didn't go to the doctor and things like that. So, yeah, so that's me.
Wow.
Alternative me.
Do you do I can't say the word, reflexologist? Do you do that at all now?
Yes, I do. I only have a few restricted clients that I see on a regular basis. And of course, my family and friends keep me quite busy. So, but I don't do it anymore as a practice. I did that for a while, but I stopped because my family has taken up basically all of my time. Between my family and Hui's work and the charity work that we do, it's pretty much, that's all the time that I have left. So, yes. And I also have my hobbies, which I like to dedicate myself to. So, and I like to get a little bit of time for that.
Your hobby? You'd say your hobby?
Yes.
What's your hobby?
I like to paint. I like to paint.
Oh my goodness.
It doesn't mean I'm very good at it, but I like to do it. So that counts, I think, right?
I'll have to have a look at some of your paintings, Melissa, at some stage, because I'd love to see those.
Yeah. But yes, I do enjoy painting. And
that's
for me,
yeah. Go on.
Oh, sorry. That's basically me. What I do, and I support Rui in his work, and I take care of my kids, and we're supporting them because they're finding their way. So that's what I'm doing right now at this moment.
Sure. And how old? You say you've got 4 girls. I've got one of each. I've got a boy and a girl. But how old are your girls, Melissa?
So I have 27, 25, 24, and 16.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Okay, you have got a busy house, and the partners living there too.
Yes, and we have the partners. So only Olivia, the youngest, hasn't brought her partner over, so she doesn't have one yet. So we'll see how that works out. But yes, and they all get along really well. Like I said, it's always a party, and then they bring their friends as well. So lots of young people in my house.
It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah. Great fun.
And you're from Canada, aren't you? Is that right? You're from Canada?
Yes. I was born in Toronto, actually. I was born in Toronto, but my parents are Portuguese. They immigrated when a very long time ago. I was born there. My sisters were born here, but they all live in Canada. My mom lives in Canada. She's here lots of times. She spent some time with us, but most of her time is spent in Canada. And when we got married, we thought about maybe moving to Canada, but I didn't want to live in Canada. Although it's a wonderful country, it's beautiful, and there's a lot of very good things in Canada. I didn't want to raise my children in the city, and I didn't want to raise them in that environment. I wanted to raise them in a village where they're close to nature and everybody knows everyone, and there's no risk of being kidnapped on your way from school. And because I lived that, and I didn't want that for my children. I wanted a healthier, more natural lifestyle, not so artificial. So we opted to stay here instead of moving there.
I did not know. I did not realize that you were Portuguese as well. I thought you were Canadian and you'd been brought to Portugal by Rui. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I kept him here. Because I was like, we should move. No, we're staying here. He left the choice up to me, actually. That was very kind of him. He said, you've lived in both places. I trust you. Where do you think we should live? And I said, Portugal.
Oh, wow. So, I've actually been to Canada as well. It was one of the places, 'cause I don't know if you know, I'm a Brit, but I've got a house in New Zealand. And before I went to New Zealand 20 odd years ago, I was going to go as a nanny to Canada. And so because I didn't end up going, we went via New Zealand via Toronto and Vancouver. And Canada, I just love. I love.
It's beautiful. Canada's beautiful. And so wonderful. It's wonderful to live there. But I really, I can't. I don't like the cold. Yes. I don't like the cold. But the people are amazing, and it's a wonderful country. I just didn't want to live in the city. That's where my family is. So I didn't want to live there. And I have a lot of family here. I just like it. I've always loved it here ever since I was a child. And I used to spend my summers here. So we opted for here. And my children, I don't know if you know this, but my oldest, Ruth, she immigrated to Canada for 4 years. I think it was 4 years. She couldn't take it anymore. She had to move back.
Well, Portugal is, I've been to Portugal too, and it's beautiful. Portugal is just beautiful.
She didn't like the lifestyle, so she moved back. And my second oldest, Bia, she was in London for 2 years as well. Oh, wow. And she couldn't wait to move back either. So they had their little, we'll try. Oh yeah, because we want to get out of here because we want to live in the city and blah blah blah. And then it's like, oh my God. So they're definitely not city girls, not at least so far. And even Laura, who is in Portugal, but she's studying traditional Chinese medicine in Lisbon. She can't wait to come home on the weekends because, once again, even though she's in Portugal, she doesn't really like being in the city, so she can't wait to get home.
And you do have a beautiful area you live in, isn't it? Your house and it's just beautiful.
We live in a national park, actually. We're very fortunate. We live in a section of the national park. So it's very beautiful here, very calm, not a lot of people, quite a lot of cows, but not a lot of people. And foxes and some eagles and crows, and if you like things like that. I love nature, and I don't do well with a lot of concrete, but trees are okay, so I'm good here. Oh, you're definitely a woman after my own heart. I grew up in a house that overlooked fields, and we had foxes and we had all the wildlife next door, and every morning now I go for a walk out in nature, and it's just wonderful. It's just beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, that's where I get all my energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Melissa, let's we've just segued into about your house. So, tell us, share with us your story about how this house came about, because it's an incredible story.
Okay, so let's see. I think maybe just to give you some context, I will tell you what happened before we manifested this house, which the situation we were in was a very, very difficult one. Once I was pregnant with Via, my second girl, I decided to quit work completely and stay home with the kids. And that was a mutual decision. Hui and I sat down and we discussed it. And it didn't make sense for us to be paying someone to raise our children. So we decided that he would be in charge of making the money and I would be in charge of taking care of the children because we weren't done. So that decision, like all decisions, had consequences. And the consequences were that at the time, it was a very difficult time here in Portugal. There was a lot of stuff going on, and no matter how much my husband worked, he could never make enough money to support the family. It was very, very difficult for us. And so I became very skillful in making a lot of meals on a shoestring budget. So I can pull 12 meals out of one chicken easily. But it was very, very difficult. They'd come and, they turn off our electricity, they turn off our water because, if we didn't pay the bills, they'd just come along. And it was hard. And sometimes my children would have to sit and do their homework by candlelight. And at this time, it was hard because you have an idea of how you want to live your life. And then the universe throws things at you to test your level of commitment to your ideals. And so all these things are happening to us and you start to think, am I doing the right thing for my children? Because this can't be easy on them, although they never, they didn't suffer in the sense that they didn't go hungry or anything like that, but home for them at all times. But the people closest to me would say things like, the people who love me the most, how can you do this to Hui? It's such a big responsibility. It's such a bad example for your girls. Women should be empowered to go out and work, and you're giving them such a bad example where the woman's, place is in the home and all this. And I know they were well-intentioned, but my mother worked her whole life, and I didn't spend any quality time with my mother when I was growing up, and I really missed that. And I was determined not to do that to my kids. So it was hard for us to stick to our guns, even though everything was so difficult, and maintain our course, even though the waters were really, really choppy. And the people who we loved the most and who loved us the most were so worried about us. And there was so much concern that we were just doing the wrong thing and ruining our lives. But we did manage to muddle through, and with the help of our families, of course, they were always there for us. We were very fortunate in that way. But things were very, very difficult. So at one point, we were living in this house. It wasn't ours, it was rented. And most of the time we couldn't even make the rent, but it was just the poor little house. It was too small for us. And it was very, very, very damp and very cold, very cramped. But it did shelter us for 10 years. So I always thank that house. Yeah, we lived there for 10 years. Yeah. It was a very long time. My youngest girl, Olivia, she still refers to that as home. That for her, it'll always be home because that's where she was. That's the only home she ever remembered. Yeah. And we lived there for a very long time. But after a while, it just got so difficult for us living under those conditions that I was reaching a breaking point. And I had always listened to a lot of personal development. Like I've always been a huge fan of Wayne Dyer since the beginning, and Louise Hay, and those people really got me through some very, very rough times. And I knew that my attitude towards things, I knew this. I just couldn't figure out what it was that I was doing wrong, that I couldn't manifest. Like, what were we doing wrong? We were being true to ourselves. We were being good people. We were doing all this. We were trying to, to give our children, the right values. And And we were doing all this and everything seemed to be going wrong and I couldn't figure out why. It was very distressing. And then one day I just had this, it was like an aha moment for me. And I realized that what we were doing wrong was with the universe, you sort of have to pay in advance. You can't just say, oh, it will come to me. If I just continue my course and continue doing things, it will come to me. It won't come to you. What you have to do is you have to behave as if you already have it. And that is really scary.
Yeah.
So what I did was, and everybody thought I was insane at this point, like really insane. They were actually worried about me. It was my birthday, and my mom asked me what I wanted, and I said, well, I don't know. She said, okay, I'll give you some money, and you can, spend it however you like. So most sane people would say, well, take that money, right, and get a head start on your bills. You got bills to pay. And I didn't do that. I was very irresponsible. And what I did with that money was I bought this giant secondhand sofa. It was so big, it did not fit in my living room. And when my brother-in-law came over and he saw this, he said, why did you buy this sofa? It doesn't even fit in your living room. And I said, it's for my new house. And he said, what do you mean your new house? You're moving? I said, well, yes. Talking about, because he knew exactly what was happening, that we had no money. We couldn't even make our rent most months. And I said, well, we're going to move. Eventually, we're going to move. So I'm just getting things ready. And he thought I'd lost it. So then I started scraping up money to start painting the house. Because I said, and they were, so you're painting the house? I said, yeah, I'm painting. I'm getting ready to leave. So I painted the house like beautiful, bright colors, the walls like a bright red. And once again, it's like, why are you doing that? Well, because I'm getting the house ready for when we leave, because I want to leave it nice for the landlord. I want it to look good. And I want to thank the house because it sheltered us for so many years. It's like, okay, you're thanking the house now. Oh, okay, let's make sure that this doesn't go too far because it looks like you're losing your mind. And then I started packing up the stuff. I just started packing up stuff in boxes that we didn't use on a daily basis. I started packing everything up. And at this point, Louis was looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just getting things ready for the change.
Were you getting messages? Were you getting any kind of gut feeling, or was this just, were you inspired to do this, but you didn't get any kind of message or anything to say, do this?
I did get a message. And the message that I got was this is, I have to backtrack a little bit. When we were living in this house, we had moved to this house because at this point we had 4 girls and we moved to the village where they were going to school. So we rented this little place. But we had taken our meager savings and we had bought a piece of land because all the land that Louis had inherited from his father when he died, we couldn't build on any of it because it was in the national park. And even though we put in petitions with the mayor and all that, they wouldn't allow us to build. So we sucked it up and we thought, okay, we have to buy a piece of land. So we found a piece of land and we bought that land. We finally paid it off. And at this point in these conditions, and we finally pay off this piece of land and we think, okay, now we can go and maybe start, building our house. We had, the architect's plans, we had everything ready. And when we go in to present our plans, they had changed the zoning and you couldn't build there anymore on the land that we had bought. And like 10 years had gone by and I thought, how is this possible? At first I freaked out, which is obvious because like I couldn't believe this was happening to me. Mm-hmm. After we finally paid off and we were, okay, now we're going to try and, get financing for the house and we can start building. This land, you can't build on it. So at first I cried and I freaked out. And then I said, wait a minute. This is obviously a sign. We're doing this wrong. This is not the way to go. We're not supposed to build our house here. That's what I told Louis right away. I said, this is a sign that we're not supposed to be here in this town trying to build a house, no, this is the wrong way. So I got online and I started searching all of the real estate sites. And I found this house on a real estate site. And I thought, oh my God, this house was perfect. It's just what we want. It's an amazing location. So I'd show Rui and I said, look at this house. Imagine us in this house. Imagine us spending Christmas in this house with our family. Isn't it gorgeous? Look how beautiful. And he's like, yeah, it's really nice, honey. Yeah, okay. I go back to your little rubber room now. You know, it's like, so I watched this house online for 2 years. For 2 years, always checking to see if it'd been sold. And at one point, I don't exactly remember when, we actually contacted the person who had the listing, and we came to see the house, and we couldn't believe it. It was just amazing. But of course, we never did anything after that. But we visited again. And at this point, between that first encounter with the house and the whole story with the land, I had started that shift where I started saying, no, we're not going to be here anymore. We're moving out. And I'm starting to prepare for the change because the change is coming. And so at that point, we came and we met with the actual owner of the house. And the original idea was just to talk to him and find out, you know, how much he wanted for it. And like as a sheet, all the blood had just, because it was like, this is ridiculous. We just shook hands on a deal that we can never.
Anyway, can you just go over that, because you just froze, Melissa. I know the story because Rui shared this before, but just go back because I remember you made an offer and it was accepted, but you just froze.
Yes, so we spoke to the owner of the house, and the owner of the house said, okay, so this is how much I want for the house. And we said, oh, we can't afford that. And I said, well, I can go this low. Is that okay for you? And I said, well, it's kind of okay. This is as low as I can go. And he shook hands on and Rui said, okay, I think we just bought a house, but on a handshake. The bank would never finance this, like never, because we had zero credit.
And wasn't it something like 70,000 less, 70,000 euros less than the
person we had never seen before. It was the most incredible, Helen. I don't know this man. And I told him, I said, thank you so much for building this house for me. And he laughed hysterically because he didn't live here. It was like a vacation home for him. He only has one child, and the rooms are 4 rooms, and it's a huge house. It's huge. It has like anyway, it's ridiculous. He built this house for me, and I told him so. I said, thank you. You built it exactly to my specifications. And he was like, okay. So we walked out of the house, and we on a handshake, and this was close to Christmas, as it was November. And we went and we spoke to the people at the bank, and they said, oh, we'll see what we can do, but don't get your hopes up because, you know, it doesn't look good. So we thought, okay, well, you know, it was a handshake. We did what we could, whatever. And well, that's what everybody thought was going to happen. What actually happened was we got a phone call in December from the owner of the house. And he said, so how's it going with the bank? And we said, well, you know, we're still waiting to hear from them. We're still trying to, you know, to get them to lend us the money to buy the house. And he said, well, you know what? I would really love it if you guys spent Christmas at the house. So we've taken everything out, we've moved out, and I want to meet with you so I can give you the key. And Rui said, what? But we haven't signed anything yet. We don't know if we can get the bank to finance this. He said, no, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Well, I'm sure everything will work out. Just meet with us and we'll give you the key. That way you can spend Christmas with your family in your new house. We couldn't believe it. The broker was freaking out. He said, I have never heard anything like that in my life. This man did not know us from Adam. He'd seen us twice. And he handed over his house to us. Everything was in his name. So he paid the water and the electricity and everything because it was all in his name. It was going through the bank automatically. And then we'd pay him back. But he trusted us enough to do that. So it was very interesting because we did spend Christmas in the house. We just packed up our clothes. It was like we went on vacation. We didn't even move out of the house. We just packed up our clothes and moved into the new house because the house was completely furnished.
I know. It's just incredible, isn't it? Incredible.
Completely furnished. We didn't have to move any furniture. So we gave away all our furniture, all of our furniture to the needy.
Even that settee you bought?
Yeah, all of the furniture that we had left behind, we didn't bring any of our old furniture over, except for one piece of furniture. And guess what that piece of furniture was? My sofa. My sofa came. But that was the only thing we brought back. Everything else we gave away to charity because, you know, there's lots of people who need furniture and furniture is expensive and we had lots of stuff to give away. So we gave all our stuff away. We moved in and we did spend Christmas here. But there is one small detail that I want to share with you, which is I have this tradition where when I set up my Christmas tree, we have a little ornament that's actually a box. It's a little wooden box and you can open it. And every year when I take the tree down, I sort of do a little bit of time travel and I project myself into the future. And I see myself at Christmas the next year. Okay, so I'll sit down and I'm in the future and it's next year and I will write down how my year was.
Oh my goodness.
And I'll say, I'm so grateful for the wonderful year that I had with my family doing this. And I did this every single year. And this was a tradition that I have and I just do it for myself. I usually don't share it. It's just like a private thing that I do. So this year, we're in our new house. And of course, we brought our Christmas tree because we have a plastic Christmas tree, I have to confess. I gave up on, I gave up. So we set up our Christmas tree and I start putting the ornaments on and I go for my little box. And of course, after a year, normally I wouldn't remember what I'd written down. So I pull out my box and I take the piece of paper out and I start reading it and I couldn't believe what was there. Because on the piece of paper, it said, I had a wonderful Christmas this year. I spent Christmas with my family in our beautiful new home and it was lovely. And we were, and I showed it to Rui and he freaked out. He couldn't believe it because it was there in black and white. So never underestimate the power of writing things down, people, because it is very powerful, very, very powerful. So for me, the law of attraction is about, like you said, it's about faith. But apart from faith, it's great to have faith. But if you don't take action and behave like, you have to pay the universe in advance. You have to say, yes, I trust that the universe is looking out for me. And I will behave as if I already have the things that I don't want to use need or desire because those aren't very good words to use, but that belong to me. And as soon as we walked into this house, we felt that this house was our house. It didn't feel like a new house. It didn't, I mean, it did in the sense that we weren't living in a crappy old house, but it felt like it was ours. It did feel ours. It felt like it was ours from the first moment. And then the second part of the journey began when we had actually moved in, but we hadn't gotten a loan from the bank. So then a whole other series of stress-related problems arose because everybody in the family was very happy that we had moved in, but the house wasn't ours and there was nothing signed, nothing at all. There wasn't a piece of paper anywhere that said that we could be in this house. But I started planting trees and ripping out things and hanging paintings and God knows what. And my brother-in-law would come over and he would absolutely lose it and say, you're crazy. This house isn't yours. What happens when the bank doesn't give you your loan and then you have to move out and you're going to have to. And I'm like, don't come here and talk to me about this house not being mine. This house has been mine from the day he built it. He was just living in it temporarily. And that's it. And I don't care what you say. And he was very upset with me, very upset. I was being irresponsible. And anyway, but it is what it is. He's grown because, these things make people look at, when you live it with, your close family, it makes you look at things in a different way. So I think he's grown in that respect. He doesn't look at me sideways as much. He kind of knows that I'm going to say something weird in the next 5 minutes. But that process took a very long time. It took us, I think it was 6 months to get a loan from the bank. We lived in this house for 6 months, rent-free. He didn't ask us for any money until we got the loan from the bank, which was another miracle in itself. But like I said, this is what the universe wanted for us. It tried to tell me I wasn't listening. And when I finally woke up and realized that this is what it was, things just sort of came together. And you take a step and there seems to be like the floor comes up towards you. You take a step into thin air and then something materializes underneath you. And we just sort of felt that whole process. And it was something really quite amazing to watch. Very, very interesting to watch. And poor Hui was so stressed out because we were still in the same financial situation. So once the loan was approved, then we had the problem of how we're going to pay the loan. Because while we were living here rent-free, we were living the stress of maybe not getting the loan. But afterwards, is how are we going to pay this loan? The monthly payments were crazy. The house is very big. Yeah. So, and that is just another way. I mean, sometimes we do things, we're kind of lazy in the sense that we'll do all kinds of things for other people, especially people we love. We'll go above and beyond, but sometimes for ourselves, we'll sort of just sit back and coast. So once Rui found himself in this situation, he had to really dig deep and find his true self and step into his power. And he's been doing that ever since. And when we moved in, I remember we had like conversations late at night and we'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe we're here. You know everything's going to change, right? And he said, yeah. I can feel everything is changing. I can feel everything changing. And inside of him, everything was changing as well. He was becoming a different person. Slowly, he was conquering his fears and doing all the stuff he needed to do and finally stepping into his power. And he's still doing that. But it's become it's almost like a daily routine, you know, where you do something and you're always improving on yourself and doing something that scares you just a little bit. And it's just a process. And I think he's found that now. And that's really amazing because I think that he has so much, he's done a lot, but he has so much more potential. So I'm just going to keep on pushing him over that cliff because that's my job. That's what I do.
That's an incredible story. And just, was there anything aside from when you realized that you couldn't build on the land you had? Was there anything else that, you said you were thinking for a while, what are we doing wrong? What, apart from the land, what made you think, oh my God, I have to start acting as if? What made you kind of start doing that?
I think it was just small things that I noticed during the day. I realized that things that you can do on a small scale usually also work on a large scale. So, for instance, if this is a true story, we celebrate Carnival here, and it's sort of like the equivalent of Halloween, except you don't go out trick or treating. So everybody dresses up, and the kids like to dress up in whatever costumes. And so we normally didn't have money to go out and buy costumes for the girls, so I'd have to make costumes. And I got pretty good at it at one point. And I usually worked with what I had and not what they wanted to be. So I would look at, the various fabrics that I had lying around and whatever, and I would sort of see what I could make with what I had. And at one point I was making costumes for them, and everybody was sort of sorted out, and I was going to make a Bo Peep costume. I think it was for Laura. And I had this beautiful blue, like baby blue fabric, and I decided to sacrifice one of my white bed sheets for the undergarments and such. So I lay out this blue fabric, and I started folding it one way and folding it another, and I realized I didn't have enough. And it was just by a tiny bit, so I'd fold it another way to see if I could, fit the pattern in a little bit better. But it still wasn't enough. So I said to myself, you know what? This is ridiculous. It's going to fit. I just need to fold it up, go away, and when I come back, there will be enough material for the outfit. So I did that. I folded it up. I went away. I went to do something else. And when I came back, just totally relaxed about it. I lay everything out, and the pattern fit just perfectly. I still have that outfit today, and they still wear it once in a while. So I started to realize that these little things, like if I needed, like a lot of the times we use bottled natural gas for our water heater. We manifested so much natural gas. This sounds like a joke, but it's not. It's true. We manifested, we knew that normally it would last us a certain amount of days, that one bottle. If we just had regular like cooking and regular bathing, it would last us a certain amount of days. But every single time we were really short on money and we couldn't afford to buy another bottle of gas, that bottle would never run out until the money came in. So I started to realize that there is something to it, because when we were doing these things, we were just acting as if, like, we didn't say, oh my God, we can't do this now. We can't cook. And don't take your shower because we're running out of gas. We just behaved normally and trusted that things would work out, and they would. And in the most incredible ways, like the weirdest things have happened to us, Helen, you have no idea. Like one time somebody deposited, I can't even remember how much it was. I think it was 1,000 and some euros in our account accidentally. Just when we were like in this desperate need of money, right? And we're like, oh my God, where did this money come from? Say, let's use this. And then we got paid just in time to put it back. It was the most incredible thing. You have no idea. The most ridiculous things have happened to us. People think we're making this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. It's too surreal. If I was going to make it up, it would be a little bit more, right? But this is crazy. This is just crazy. So
incredible. And how much of this coincided? Because you're big givers. You have your mission, and how much of this coincided with? Because I'm a great believer. I love this the Zig Ziglar. I don't know if you've heard of it. It says, when you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. And I'm a great believer. I think it's no small coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence anyway. But that you and I've realized I've been saying his name wrong all this time. So it's Hui, is it?
It's Rui. Yeah, you can say in Portuguese we have the guttural sound, which is the r. So it's Rui. But you're okay. You can say Rui, and he gets it. It's not a problem.
Okay. But I
know that not calling him Roy. Most people just call him Roy. Roy. Oh, Roy. My husband Roy. Right. I forgot.
But I knew that by the amount you give, your givers, I knew that you had to, that's the way law of attraction. But how much coincided with, when did you start giving? Did it, when did that start up, and with,
Well, we only started our serious charity work after we had moved in and our life was pretty much on a good track. Like we had our basic needs were taken care of, because we're very big givers, and we've always been big givers. But if you're not in a position to take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anyone else. That's a given, right? So we were always for instance, when we moved out, one of the things that people found very strange is, why didn't you sell all your furniture? Right? And I said, because I don't want to sell all my furniture. I want to give back what the universe is giving me. I got new furniture, and now I want to give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for me to sell my furniture, but you could make money. You could use that money for whatever. I said, I don't want that money. I want to give the furniture away. Because even when you're not in a situation where you have a lot of money, where you're not financially stable, there's always ways of giving. There's different ways of giving, right? So we were always big givers, in the sense that big givers of time, which is a commodity that you can never get back and you can't put a price on. But the serious giving, like our humanitarian missions, only came later on, when we were settled in and we were making enough money to be financially stable, and that was another very big aha moment for us, because it's giving on a totally different level. And when you interact with people who live in such a different world, it's very eye-opening to all of the the bad mental habits we have, like the thoughts that we have. And at first I was really terrified of going on this mission, not because of the trip itself, because as you know, we drove across Africa. So it's very taxing, it's grueling, it's difficult to do, but that wasn't what was frightening me. What was frightening me was I'm a very sensitive soul and I cry all the time. I'm a big crier. And I thought, when I find myself in a situation where I have these people with me, in front of me, and they are in so much need and I can't help them, how am I going to react to that? I don't think I can handle that. And it was so surprising because it was the exact opposite when we got there. And we started to interact with these communities who, like these children, they don't have any toys. Most of them had never seen a balloon in their lives. They have absolutely no access to any healthcare whatsoever. And these kids would just run up to us and they were so happy. They were just happy. And then the parents would come along, with the babies, and everybody was just happy. They didn't need all the paraphernalia that we need to be happy. It was the most incredible thing. It was so beautiful to see how happy true gratitude, like we say, oh, I'm so grateful for. We're not, because we're always complaining about how we don't have this yet and how we don't have that yet and blah, blah, blah. They are truly grateful for what they have. And it's basically nothing.
Yeah.
Basically nothing. So it taught me a lot about what real gratitude is and really reevaluating what is important. And for us, what is important is basically family. And family is not just your close family. Family is everyone. I mean, everyone is family when you think about it. I mean, you're my family. I mean, there's no question. We're all related in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's ridiculous to say, oh, I'm not, I'm just going to help my family. We have to, it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility as human beings to help one another. Always, regardless of whether they're our family or not, regardless, it is our responsibility. If you have that opportunity, you must take it. Otherwise, you are in debt. You're in debt with the universe, and you're going to pay that debt later on, somehow, some way. It doesn't work that way. There has to be a flow, right?
Yes.
A flow of energy, a flow of love. If there's no flow, then things stagnate, and then you don't understand why have things stopped? Why am I not receiving? Because you're not giving.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love your philosophy, Melissa. I just love what you say. It's interesting you say two things I wanted to say from what you said there. One of the first books I read after watching The Secret was Happy for No Reason. I don't know if you've ever read it. Marcy Shimoff. No. And she shares how she traveled the world and shares what you just said about how she visited people who had nothing, and yet they were so grateful for what they had. And,
they were truly happy. Yeah,
absolutely. They don't know any different. Happy. Yes.
No, that's what they know. That's what they know. It's very interesting to see. And it makes everyone really reevaluate how stupid we're being most of the time. Complaining about the most trivial things that have absolutely no importance whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And we focus, and of course, people don't realize what you focus on grows. So if you're always focusing on what you don't have, then that's what's going to happen. What you don't have is just going to be, there's more of that. When focus on what you have, I'm sure there's a lot of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sure you have a lot of everything when you think about it. We're so fortunate, and it's just, I don't know, it makes you question so many things, because then I think to myself, I could have been born in Guinea. I was born in Canada. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
So how is it not my responsibility, if I can, to help that person who was unfortunate enough to be born in that country? It's not their fault.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it is our responsibility to look after one another. It is. I truly believe that. And to be truly grateful, which is to look at everything that you receive. And this includes all the bad stuff.
Yes.
Because all the bad things you receive are for you.
Yes.
They're for you. They're for you to learn, or they're for you to grow, or they're for you to be nudged into the right direction, which is what happened with us, for instance, with the house. If it hadn't been for that land that we had bought, it was so difficult for us to buy that, we had no money, and then it being taken away from us in that fashion, that was heartbreaking. It was very difficult. But that's what the universe does when it needs you to do something, and you're not realizing what it is for whatever reason. You're distracted, or you think this is what's best for you. We don't have the power of foresight, only hindsight. And because we can't see the future, and we can't see the infinite connections that there are between everything that we do or don't do, we can't just say, oh, I know what's best. Sometimes we think we know what's best for us, but we really don't.
No.
And we have to trust that somebody is actually looking after us and does know what's best for us and does know what's going to happen in the future. Make sure you go down this road, because that road is not a good road to go down. So you just have to take everything that's given to you with gratitude, even all the lousy stuff it's just a matter of perception, really, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
If you look at something that's given to you that could seem horrible, that's because you perceive it as horrible. There is no such thing as horrible. It's just another thing that you have to learn, another thing you have to live, and it makes you a better person. I mean, there's no growth without some form of suffering, right?
Absolutely. What's the expression? We grow. There's a thing. I can't remember what it is now, but basically we grow through all our challenges. We do.
Of course.
We go through our challenges and we grow through them. Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's very, very important. It's very important for us to go through those things and when we're going through them, to realize that that's what they're for. Because the quicker you realize that you're going through that challenge or that difficulty in your life, and it's a gift to you, as soon as you stop resisting, then it becomes a blessing, and you learn all kinds of things, and then you progress so much quicker, and you get out of that situation so much quicker, because really it's all about learning, right? Because we're here to learn, and we're here to share, right, what we've learned. And that's a big part of Rui's philosophy, is sharing what he's learned and helping other people realize their dreams, really, and whatever it is they want to do. So it's a mission. It's going to take a while. There's a lot of work to be done. a lot of work to be done.
But you're doing so well at it. And honestly, Melissa, I can't believe you said you were an introvert. I can hear your passion. You're just, you've got so much passion for what you do. It's just wonderful.
Well, I am an introvert, but I am a passionate introvert. There's stuff that I believe in, and when I believe in something, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what happens to me, it doesn't matter. I'm a Taurus, so I just barrel through.
Yes.
That's my personality. I just stick to my guns and just do the work and go through it, and whatever, if it takes 3 years, it takes 3 years. I don't care. We're just going to do it. And that's my personality. But I am a bit of an introvert, yes.
You'd never know, because you've just been wonderful in this interview, Melissa. You've just been fantastic.
But that's because of you, Helen, because you draw it out, because you're such a wonderful person.
Oh, thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to share with the viewers, Melissa, before you go? I mean, you shared so much already, but is there anything maybe about your mission, or anything you'd like to share with them, all of attraction, or any kind of inspiration you'd like to give, or anything?
I don't know. I think I've said most of what I want to say, except that, essentially, if you are true to yourself, and you don't let outside influences and even people who love you influence what you deep down, we all have. That's what our conscience is for. We have to live with our conscience, and if our conscience is telling us to do something, sometimes everyone around us and society will be saying that's not how it's done. But you have to live with your conscience. And if you can't live with yourself, you can't live with other people, and everything's going to go wrong. You must listen to what your heart is telling you to do, even if everyone else is saying that's the wrong way to do it. There's no wrong way. There's no right way. Everybody has a different way of doing things, and everybody has a different way of living and different ideals. And as long as you're not hurting anybody or hindering anybody from realizing their dreams, just do what you need to do. And sometimes it takes a long time, because there's a lot of lessons that need to be learned along the way. So your final goal, it seems like all these things are happening to you, but really they're not happening to you, they're happening for you. It's just the universe giving you all the tools that you need to reach your final destination. And if you trust that that's all that it is, it's a lot easier to get through. It goes by faster. And when you get to the end, you realize it wasn't that bad. You know, it wasn't what it really is. When you look back, right? When you look back at all the stuff that was so hard, you thought, oh my God, you look back, it wasn't that bad. It was okay.
Absolutely.
I made it through, right?
Absolutely.
Because you've grown in the meantime. So your perception is different now, right? But only after you've lived through things. So just be true to yourself and your beliefs. And when the universe, you know, tests your resolve, just show the universe what you're made of, and that you're there. You're there.
That's a fantastic way to finish, Melissa. Thank you so much. And if you want to find out more about Melissa, I'll actually put some links below where you can find out more about Melissa and the great mission work that she and her wonderful husband and the family and the community do. And as I said before, actually, I'm going to go on one of your missions. I'm definitely going to come on one of your missions. I can't wait. And
they're great fun.
Oh, yes, I'd love to. And if you'd like to join us, there's a link below. Come and join us and find out more about what we do, because Melissa and Ruby are part of the same community that I'm part of, and it's just a wonderful community. So thank you so much, Melissa.
You're very welcome, Helen. It was a pleasure.
It was. It absolutely was a pleasure to interview. Thank you so much. And join me again. I'll be back within, yes, I've got a very special guest, another very special guest coming up in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much.